Hello everyone, Dolphin Oracle here again tonight, coming at you with the brand new release of MX-16. Should be hitting DistroWatch tonight sometime, overnight. The torrents are up at linuxtracker.com. You can actually pick them up over at our website, mxlinux.org. Click on the download link. You've got direct links to our SourceForge site, and it will be hitting the mirrors. They might be on the mirrors now, but the mirrors update overnight, so they should be hitting the mirrors anytime that comes. 64-bit and 32-bit ISOs are available. Let me move myself out of the way here. Okay. So let's crack open Firefox here, and we'll see basic traits. We've got 32-bit and 64-bit kernels, because we know that's important to a lot of people to have 32-bit. Actually, our downloads seem to favor 32-bit just a little bit, particularly in Europe. So, you know, great. So many distributions, Ubuntu is included, dropping 64-bit support. We're happy to include 32-bit for as long as we can. 32-bit still using the 3.16 PAE or non-PAE kernel. Both are included on the ISO. You get to choose at boot time. Will carry over to install when you do it. 64-bit is using the Linux 4.7 kernel. With the 64-bit, we try to support more current hardware than maybe the 32-bit would, for obvious reasons, I guess, and you can understand that. Foundation is still XFCE 4.12.2. And, of course, based on Debian, stable with our own backports through our MX repo app. We do have UEFI support on the installer for 64-bit. It will boot 64-bit or 32 on the live media. The 64-bit installer, I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's getting there. It's moving along pretty good. Quick tips: disable any kind of compatibility modes in your system BIOS system settings. If you have something that says boot legacy and UEFI, see if you can make it boot just UEFI. Some motherboards do it better than others. I've got a Gigabyte motherboard that's brilliant. It will actually, if I enable the compatibility mode, it will actually ask me which way I want to boot the media, either UEFI or legacy. You've got to boot it in the way you're going to run it installed, or the installer can't tell you. The installer doesn't know that it's going to be UEFI later. It's a hang-up. It's a technical hang-up with the grub install routine. It's not necessarily ours. But maybe someday we'll come up with a brainstorm to make it work better. But for now, if you want to run it on a UEFI system in UEFI mode, you need to boot the live USB in UEFI mode, not legacy. You heard it here. Okay. Moving on. Key default apps. Well, we got updated apps. Firefox, VLC, Clementine, Thunderbird. We're up to LibreOffice 5 now. You won't find that in Debian stable, at least not by default. We brought that over from their backports. We got a password manager with Seahorse. It's actually more for the keyring management, but it does PPG keys as well. Lucky Backup. It's stable. We've got some new apps. Let's take a quick second though to talk about the advanced live USB. I want to give a shout out to the Annex guys. MX is based on Annex Core. We used to be officially a part of the Annex project. Well, officially according to DistroWatch. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird situation. We're very tight. Annex was originally based on Mepis, and MX is now based on Annex because Mepis is gone. So it's a very, very tight family of developers working on this. And as such, we have probably better than average. We're not like a fork. We're not a split. We got excellent support for the awesome live USB system. I'll be doing some separate videos on that, but by and large, we have the best live USB system in Linux. I'm just telling you. I mean, everybody talks about Puppy. Forget about it. You want MX to do this with. Trust me, I got a PC I'm running. It's got 16 gig. You know, it's one of these netbook things. It's got a 16 gig SS. It calls it SSD, but it's actually really slow flash RAM. I run off a USB stick with a 6 gig persistent file and can't be happier with it. I'm not even going to install the system on that laptop. I'm just going to run off the USB forever. It's pretty awesome. I'll be pushing the limits of that. Watch for some later videos on that because I want to try some things that maybe you don't normally think of trying to do on a live USB. because of limitations on live media. We'll see what happens. At any rate, the advanced it's automatic creation of persistent files that boot up on the live USB. All you gotta do is choose it. It saves your custom options automatically on the USB, and we're actually trying to do a little bit more with being able to utilize the rest of the USB for storage as well through a live storage link. Oh, pardon me, excuse me. So definitely be checking that out. Check out my old videos on the live USB, because as good as the MX-16, well, it's more or less the same as MX-16, but improved a little bit. So it's pretty awesome. All right, getting into some apps, some other apps, some new apps that are installed. We have an alternatives configurator, which if you've ever had to deal with the alternative system, is kind of nice. It's one of those things that you don't know you need till you need it. If you want, like, let's say you need to change this browser setting here, well, this makes it very easy just to click a button and you're done. You just click the button. It's not even an apply. You just click the button. This is very handy if you got more than one Java installed, for instance, or more than one Flash. You can click and choose what you're using. Okay, what else we got new? We got the Seahorse. I mentioned the Seahorse app. We're up to Java 8 on that, and we have a new time settings GUI for those of you that have issues dealing with time and your clock. We have a new GUI here to help you with that stuff. Time zone, system clock, UTC, all that stuff. It's in there. It's actually the same app as before, or the same backend, but there's a little bit of a GUI interface on top of it now. So hopefully that's a little easier for you guys out there to deal with. Okay, you can see that by default we have a new theme, but you can also see that Firefox is not using the default theme inside the window itself. This is Firefox has a problem. They moved the GTK3, the version 46 of Firefox. And when they did that, certain elements inside the Firefox window, when you're using a dark theme, render text. Since you have white text, the fields stay white, and you end up with white on white. You can't read them. One of those things being the YouTube site. So by default, MX ships with a dark theme, obviously, with a new default theme, but it also ships with an override on Firefox, and I'll show you how to deal with that if you want to. We can go to a new app called Default Look, and Default Look's got a couple of tricks. It's got a very simple panel flipper here. It can go horizontal or vertical, and this is very easy to do. You click Apply, bam, it's done. It's down here. It's changed to horizontal. And you can change the it's in the dark theme right now. You can switch to the light theme. There you go. It says changes to Firefox may require Firefox to restart. That is true because Firefox doesn't deal with theme changes very well. Let me close Firefox and open it back up. Okay, now you see we're back to our usual dealio. If you have the dark theme enabled without the dark theme tweak, which is perfectly valid. A lot of places ship like that. You will see that it does take the theme inside the window, but you also end up with this weird. If I could type, this would be easy. You end up with this weird scenario where you go to a place like YouTube and you type in a search term. Maybe something like run with the dolphin, and its text is white on white, so that's not real friendly for your Firefox users. I really wish they'd override this themselves with a different way of doing that. Mozilla guys, it's a problem with Mozilla. You go to the Firefox forums, you'll see it there. So the dark theme tweak forces a light theme on the internal windows of Firefox. The switch is there if you want to turn it off. Fine, go ahead. If you don't. If it works for it, I mean, it works because it works, but you can search the YouTube window and your text won't be invisible anymore, just like a regular light theme, because that's all it does is it forces a light theme on Firefox. Okay, so that is the new MX Default Look app. Let's crack open Tools and look at the other new apps. We have the new Live USB Maker. That's part of the Live USB system. I'll do a video on this, but it is bone simple Live USB creation to let the users have a full-featured Live USB. And by full feature, I mean all of our persistence options enabled. This thing's going to make it for you in one step. It will take the whole stick, whatever you give it. The stick will be available for storage. It's not like running DD where you end up with a live, with a hybrid CD USB. It's a proper live USB system. Snapshots received some updates. This is for turning an installed system into a bootable ISO. Might I add, with all the Antics Live media goodness baked in. And the MX, so there's some changes for MX, but it's the Antics system at its core. Flash Manager is being changed, is being updated, and actually it's being updated again, I think, looking at the forums tonight, because Flash from Adobe is kind of a moving target, so you gotta kind of keep dealing with it. But we've obviously got the version 23 installed in the system as it is. We have the user managers. It was fine the way it was. We have the menu editor. Now, in setup, there's several new items. We have the AMD FGLRX driver installer and the NVIDIA driver installer. These are new. We've had good luck with them. The NVIDIA driver in particular will configure for Optimus switchable graphics with the Bumblebee driver from Debian. So hopefully this will work out for you guys, an easy way to do it. I can't show them off because I don't have any Intel hardware. That might be changing in the near future, but for now I can't show them off. I click it here, it's just going to tell me for now it's a console app, but yeah, it's going to say no NVIDIA cards found. Well, no kidding. We've already covered default look. The panel orientation has received an overhaul since the original FX15 release. Not only does it do the vertical and horizontal exactly the same way that the default look does. In fact, the code is actually panel orientations, just copied over into default look. It also lets you do some extra features like restoring the default panel or backing up the current panel. Or you can see I actually have an option to restore the backed up panel. I already have a backed up panel. So if I click the restore backup panel, and there's my panel, you can see it's a custom panel because it's got Chrome on there as well. That doesn't come installed by default. So the new panel app, unlike the old panel app, tries to keep your customizations on the panel, and I'm not going to guarantee you they're always going to be in the place you expect them to be, because that's pretty much impossible to figure out where everything needs to go for an infinite number of combinations. We're talking serious orders of magnitude on that, but it does a pretty good job, especially if you do it out of the gate, and your customizations are relatively simple. MX System Sounds, there's nothing new with MX System Sounds. This is the sound element tool. Now, a lot of people ask about this on the XFCE forums. A few people have asked about sound features in our forums, particularly log in and log out sounds. Now, the XFCE event sounds and input sounds, that's built into XFCE. This just gives you another place to enable them. They're very basic. That's going to give you things like exclamation warnings and beeps and blops when you click on buttons. But it doesn't give you a login and logout sound. XFCE doesn't have that feature by default. So this system gives you that login and logout option, and it's actually, you don't have to have this stuff enabled. You can just have the login and logout sound. Now, what I wanted to show is that there's been some requests to package some more sound themes. Now, the sound themes don't show up anywhere except in our regular repo through Synaptic or apt-get or whatever. They're not in MX Package Installer. There's only two MX package themes, Borealis and Fresh and Clean. These, I believe, both came from one of the BoxLook type websites. But they are available. I installed Fresh and Clean from Synaptic. It's not on the ISO. But it's nice, and you can configure. I wanted to show you how you can configure your theme here. There's I think there's 4 total themes in our in the standard repos, 2 in our repos and 2 in the Debian repos. You get a free desktop theme, which doesn't have a login and a logout sound, and then you get a Moblin theme, if you remember Moblin, for you Linux nerds out there like me who remember Moblin. It actually had some sound themes to it as well. So those are available in the repo. You can install any of them. They'll all show up here. So, like I say, nothing really new with the system. Just wanted to show off that you can get some pretty interesting, some new sound options. Let's see, where am I here? We got Debian Backports installer and the test repo installer. Now, these are special purpose apps to let you browse and install packages. Oh, look, there's the Arc theme for you Arc theme fans out there. In the test repo, you can install directly from the test repo without having to go through all the hassle of enabling the test repo, refreshing sources, installing the app, turning it all back off, or leaving it on and risk screwing up your system due to a disk upgrade gone completely haywire. Because everybody knows in a Debian system, if you leave a source enabled, it's going to be used for upgrade checking. You've been warned. Use the tool. Use this tool. And the the Jessie backports tool, the Debian backports installer tool, has a similar function, but for Jessie backports. Mostly because Jessie backports is a hassle to set up and install, and you got to use command line switches, and it's just a pain in the butt. So that makes it a little easier. So it's got a little search feature. I'll be honest, it's a simple app. Let's see here. Let's look for something I know's in here. OpenShot. Yeah, there's OpenShot 2 in here. Like I say, our test repo is not for testing. It is. I mean, let me back up. There's a Debian testing. Debian testing is the next version of Debian that's being tested. Our test repo has nothing to do with the next version of MX. It has to do with these are apps that we really would like people to use before we put them in our main repo, because we're kind of like that stable repo, stable. We're trying to be Debian Jessie stable, but with new stuff. That means you got to test it. Anyway, this tool hopefully gives you an easy way to do that. And Debian Jessie backports, if you absolutely have to get something from backports, that's the way to. The Jessie backports tool is an easy way to install tools. It's functionally the same. It looks the same. It takes, you get a nice little warning here because it's backports, and you technically speaking could break something because they do have updated libraries and stuff in here. But so here's 0ADs got an update. All this. There's a lot of stuff we backport in our own repo, but anyway, this gives you another location. You don't have to do anything for the regular MX repos. They're just in Synaptic. Just go there. We also have some new packages and package installer. I'm going to call it MX Pi because mostly my throat's getting dry. We kind of nicknamed it that in the forums. We've been giving things nicknames lately for the MX tools. So again, you got your browser. We got an option to install SlimJet. We got an option to install Tor, Pale Moon, Iceweasel. Actually, ever since Debian and Jessie did their thing with Firefox, the Iceweasel, there is still an Iceweasel package, but it actually installs Firefox Extended Support Edition. There's still new kernel options for going back. You can go back to the default MX-15 kernel, which is still a perfectly good kernel. It's a 4.2 kernel, and I've had a lot of good luck with it, actually. This Debian 64-bit kernel, if you really need to fall back, you can fall back to 3.16. And if you want to go forward, you can go with the latest Licorix kernel from our test repo. This is actually going to pull the latest Licorix kernel from wherever it's located, either our main or test repo. I think we're up to 4.8 something at the moment on the Licorix kernel. Usually Licorix is done for Stretch or Debian testing, but we're compiling the sources for stable, so that's kind of cool. That's something you don't see everywhere. Again, all the apps are all here. We got OBS Studio, we got Record My Desktop, we got a simple screen recorder in there. We got some utilities. We've got Advert Block Annex. This is a nice little advertiser host-based ad filter, I guess you'd call it. And then Streamlight for streaming stuff from YouTube, which is kind of nice. And then Synapse, because Synapse isn't in Debian and Jessie for some reason, so we have our own version of Synapse. That's the I don't have it installed right now, but that's the launch everything kind of app where you hit, it shows the menu up on, or shows a window up here where you type in, and it magically figures out what you want to launch. So there's some stuff in here. We got VirtualBox direct from Oracle, which also now installs the extension packs and sets up some user groups. So that's kind of cool that they can do that. We've got a more up-to-date version of Wine in our package installer than you would if you went through the regular repos. All sorts of stuff. Just explore that. A lot of it hasn't changed. Skype's in here. We did make a change to Skype because of some changes in the sound system. So that is MX Package Installer. We're still trying to auto-configure Broadcom drivers. You shouldn't need the Broadcom Manager, but if you do, it's there. They'll let you adjust the open source or drivers. There's a lot here. There's new backgrounds. There is. Let's see. Let's just do a quick change of the backdrop here. Yeah, we got 6 wallpapers here, and actually a lot of people don't realize this, but you can go to other folders and search. So if you're upgrading from MX-15, your MX-15 wallpapers are still going to be in there, but they're in a different folder. So just navigate that way. But I like the butterfly because it's metamorphosis with MX-16. A very tired Dolphin Oracle is done with this video. For tips, tricks, how-tos, head over to mxlinux.org or throw up a post at forum.mxlinux.org. This is Dolphin Oracle signing off. Have a great night.